today. Now, despite being fit and healthy, our next guest, Faith Harrison, had a heart attack earlier this year at just 22 years old.
After reporting chest pains and tingling in her left arm, Faith was initially told she was suffering from anxiety and maybe a stomach bug.
Now she wants to raise more awareness for heart attacks with young people and joins us alongside heart surgeon Dr. Steve Westerby. Morning to both of you.
Morning to both.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
So, Faith, super fit, playing hockey loads. All began when you started to feel unwell after a hockey game.
Yes.
And what can you remember after that?
So I couldn't pinpoint why I was feeling ill, but it was 30 minutes into my drive when my left arm started to get tingly, started to get numb. It felt like someone was sitting on my front and my back. Got home, told my parents something is wrong. Got progressively worse. I started violently vomiting, very dizzy, in and out of consciousness. And that's when we decided we needed to go and get some help.
Yeah.
Went to A&E. I was unfortunately told maybe it's a stomach bug, but after an ECG I was told, you're having a major heart attack, you need to go to Stoke and have emergency surgery.
So it was your dad who said, listen, we need to go to hospital, let's stop messing around. And initially they said it's probably a little bit of anxiety, a stomach bug.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts when you actually heard you're having a heart attack, you are now going to go down to surgery?
Well, I heard from someone else. I had to hear over the blue curtain. I was on a lot of medication at the time, so I couldn't really compute actually what was going on.
You must have been so spun out what was going on.
Yeah, my head was completely gone. I thought they were lying, if I'm completely honest.
I mean, you're 22, and it's like the last thing on your mind that you're having a heart attack. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, is this quite... this is very rare for a 22-year-old to have a heart attack, isn't it?
It is. It's very rare for a heart attack to occur in the way it did, but let's put it this way, they do, and people need to be aware of it. I operated on many babies who have had heart attacks because their coronary arteries had come off the wrong blood vessel. The coronary arteries that came off the blood vessel to the lungs instead of the main artery to the body, and it's the same story. Nobody believes the poor mother when she says, my kid is in distress, is breathless and everything else. So there needs to be an awareness that people of all age groups can suffer heart attacks for various reasons. Now,
and you need to listen to what the patient's actually saying.
Yeah.
If someone says, I've got some tingling down my left arm, that's a clue, isn't it?
Well, when you listen to Faith, she describes the classic presenting symptoms of a heart attack. She had it for an unusual reason. People just believe that heart attack is something that the older age group people get because of coronary artery disease. That is narrowing, atheromatous plaques and so on. Plaque breaks, occludes the coronary and the muscle dies. But in Faith's case, she had a blood clot in her leg veins, which is a common occurrence, and part of it broke off, went up into the heart and across the so-called patent foramen ovale. Now, that's a hole in the heart that, as I say, all babies have in utero to allow blood to bypass the lungs, because in the uterus, the lungs are not expanded. So the right-sided blood goes across to the left side. In most people, that closes spontaneously after birth, but in a significant proportion, it stays open.
And is this what happened to Faith? She had something that she'd had since birth that they discovered when they did the surgery. Is that what happened, Faith? Yeah,
so I've always had a hole. It's kind of a flap, so it opens and closes when I do certain activities. So
and you never knew about it?
No, 22 years I've gone along perfectly fine. And then this has occurred.
Steve, can you tell us about, is it patent foramen PFO?
PFO, patent foramen ovale. As I say, very common. But there was a clue here that Faith had a problem. She'd had previously a blood clot to her lungs. And
did you know about that?
I had 2 in my leg when I was 17 and 19, but they both went undiagnosed at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're diagnosed with a blood clot to the lungs from the leg veins, everybody should have a cardiac echo. Because if you're found to have one of these patent foramen ovales, PFOs, you can have it closed. And in the old days, I used to occasionally have to close them surgically. I remember pulling great clots through the patent foramen back into the right side of the heart that were as big as snakes. Wow. The whole leg vein blood clot spins off, goes up into the heart and shoots across the foramen ovale if you've got a blockage in the lungs. So it's a very serious condition, and Faith needs that hole closed.
Yeah.
It's still not been closed.
No, not as of yet. It will be closed.
Are you going to have the operation to have it closed?
Yes, it will. I don't have a date as of yet.
Yeah, but it needs to be closed.
Yeah.
How has this, obviously heart failure, how has this changed your life? Because you were very fit before, you did a lot of exercise.
Yeah.
What's your life like now?
So I'm able to reform Pilates, which a lot of doctors never expected I'd be able to ever get back into ever. So that's huge progress for me. I can't run, I can't play hockey, I get out of breath, I do get fatigue. So I do have long-lasting effects of heart failure, and I will for a long time. But I'm making do with what I've got available, and I'm doing my best.
Good for you.
Will that help after your operation? Like, will you ever get back to full fitness?
I've been told the pressure on the heart should reduce, which means I should be able to do a little more exertion, but I probably will never go back to how fit I was previously.
Yeah.
But we've got to get her back to that fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need an optimist sat next to
I bet
Faith
you'd love
right
Steve
now.
to work on you.
Yeah, we all would.
Yeah.
Closing that patent foramen ovale will be done with a catheter. It's a nice technique, it's quick, and it closes the hole and makes her safe. But what Faith has been left with is a scar in the heart muscle. And scar doesn't contract, it expands. And what we found operating on babies that had had those heart attacks was that if you corrected the blood supply, the fibrous tissue from a heart attack was absorbed and disappeared.
Wow.
Now, nobody believed that could happen, and we noticed that in Oxford. And that made me think there should be a way of engineering the same thing in adults, where once you get a piece of scar, it never goes away. So I got to know a Nobel Prize winner called Professor Sir Martin Evans, who engineers cells. He was the first person to isolate stem cells from bone marrow. And he produced a cell that I tested in heart attack patients in Greece, as it happens, because I couldn't do it here. And what we found was one particular progenitor cell that you can give from one patient to another without a rejection response removed scar tissue, up to 40 to 45% of the scar tissue. So there needs to be optimism along these lines, that it's not a matter of just waiting and doing nothing and letting the heart failure develop down the line. You can be proactive. These days, with people with very badly damaged hearts, we can use machines. And when I'm talking about machines, I've got a habit of producing artificial hearts from my pocket. I did the last time I was with you.
Stuff out of them.
He's always getting the little
These
tricks
are
out.
artificial hearts.
Yeah,
This one.
these little pumps will take over the whole left side of the circulation in somebody with a very severe heart attack. And I am suggesting that we can now remodel and regenerate sick hearts with cells. Engineered cells.
We've kind of run out of time, but just very quickly, for anybody who's experienced, what are the signs of heart attack? What are they?
When you're having a heart
varies to
attack,
different people?
it comes on quite suddenly. There's sudden occlusion of a coronary artery. You will feel pain in the centre of the chest, and it's crushing pain, and it tends to radiate, as we call it, down the left arm. And it's a crushing feeling. You will then feel short of breath as the pumping chamber, the main pumping chamber, the left ventricle, starts to fail, because it will not contract without any blood flow.
Yeah. And lastly, Faith, what would you like to do now? Like, I mean, you just being on this couch is probably raising awareness for people around your age.
I'd like to raise more awareness of heart attacks. They can happen in young people, and for doctors to recognise those symptoms. but also for people who are suffering heart attacks and the aftermath of heart attacks to talk about it and go to the British Heart Foundation to get that support that they need.
Faith, thank you.
Thank you for
Steve,
joining
thank
us.
you.
And obviously, if you experience any of those symptoms, 999 straight away, or anyone around you.
Now, after becoming the latest cosmetic craze on TikTok, a growing number of patients are undergoing forehead reduction, which involves surgically lowering their hairline.
Following years of feeling like she had to hide behind her fringe, 27-year-old Beth Hasey, have I said that right? Housey, thank you. Thank you, Beth. You spent £9,000 on treatment last month, and today she's here joining us. The treatment, I do apologise getting you.
Don't worry, that's fine.
It's so lovely to meet you. I've got to be honest with you, I have never heard of this procedure. No. When did you hear about it and where did you see it?
I think it was a couple years ago. I actually saw it on TikTok to start with.
Yeah.
And thought, oh my God, like I didn't even know this surgery was a thing. I thought the only option was a female hair transplant, which for me, the growing out phase of the hair, I just wouldn't be able to do it. So I kind of started researching it, got in contact with the same surgeon, and then just kind of went from there. And then, yeah, like a year later.
So let's take us back a little bit. When did you ever think were you not happy with your hair for a long time, or?
Yeah, from when I was really, really young. I mean, I literally remember Googling like forehead reduction when I was like
really?
7. Yeah, so that's my.
So that's your before. I mean,
but is that you scraping that back now?
Yeah, yeah. So that would be like with how my hair is now, which is this hairstyle is something I would never have done before ever. So.
Oh my goodness! That's your before picture. I think you look lovely.
Thank you.
Was there a time where you didn't mind it?
No, never.
There was never a time?
Never. I mean, when I was really young, obviously, you don't really pay much attention to those things when you're really young, but when the sort of comments started happening in school, I then had a fringe cut in, and I've pretty much had a fringe my whole life until now.
So you've always had that fringe at
Yeah, like
school?
a full block fringe or a big sweeping side fringe that used to be fashionable, but isn't anymore.
But the thing is, you are absolutely beautiful. I think you're beautiful now. When was the actual? I mean, this hasn't happened lightly, has it? You've researched this.
Yeah, it took
this
me
has been a long time
yeah.
for you to do it. When you actually made the decision to go ahead, talk me through the procedure.
So I got in contact with the surgeons, administration people, and booked for a consultation. So the first thing was a Zoom consultation initially, like a 15-minute chat, just to kind of see what my concerns were and that kind of thing, and then arrange an in-person consultation. So I went to see Dr. Greg Brann on Harley Street.
Yeah.
And he was really, really lovely. We kind of just had a chat. He had a look at my forehead and measured all like the different proportions of my face and said, I think this is where we should go. I mean, I wanted it really low, but he said, no, you look like you've got a hat on all the time. So let's go a bit higher. So I just went by what he said. And then, yeah, went away. You have an initial 2-week cooling off period where they say, just go away, think about it.
Yeah.
Don't rush, you know, and let us know if you want to go ahead. And then I got in touch, booked it for the following March, and it was back in October that I went, and then, yeah, here we are.
So how long now since you had it done?
4 weeks tomorrow.
That's incredible.
And how are you doing?
You never know.
I'm absolutely fine, yeah. And that's another thing that was a big selling point for me for this surgery was its instant results, and the recovery time is quite minimal compared to a hair transplant.
But how much pain afterwards? Was there a lot of pain? You on a lot of
The first few days, yeah, I was on a lot of like different painkillers and antibiotics and that kind of thing. And the first few days, I was in quite a lot of pain, but the tablets were really good. I was really, really swollen as well the first few days.
Yeah,
I had like big black eyes. But then after, I'd say the first week, I was pretty much fine. I was still taking a few tablets, but I was going out and about, like just, yeah. I worked from home as well, so I was back on my laptop working from home, so.
Looking back, Beth, do you think you would have felt like this without the barbs and without the insults and without all of it? Do you think
I think...
Like, I guess what was the real reason for getting it done for you?
So, I mean, a lot of the articles that have come out really, really focused on the bullying, but I mean, it was like a few nasty teasing comments when I was in primary school.
But they do affect you at that young age,
yeah,
don't
they? That was obviously the initial starting point, but then going forward, it was just always an insecurity that I've had. And I don't know why or what kind of was the reason that it continued, but yeah, it just did. And like I say, I had the fringe my whole life. And if I was like going down the street on a windy day, I'd be trying to cover it like this the whole time, and like swimming in front of people that I didn't know very well, that kind of thing. I was just always really conscious of it.
You feel empowered now?
Yeah, it's, without sounding too dramatic, I always say, it's quite freeing, and like, I just feel like I'm now, like, I can be my true self. I'm really confident. Like, I can post pictures on Instagram without a filter and that kind of thing.
So how much did they actually reduce it by?
So it's 1 inch in the middle and 2 centimetres on the sides, because I've got scars that go up here. So they brought the sides in as well, and then a scar along the front.
I guess the thing is, if you're a prisoner, even if you're a prisoner by your own making, you're a prisoner to it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I felt like I was stuck with this fringe that I didn't want anymore. And like, I know a lot of people kind of say, well, just keep the fringe, like, why have you spent that much money? But I did it for me, so, like, it's my choice at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course it is. Your money, your
You
choice,
look
absolutely.
absolutely beautiful.
What would you tell people that are watching this, that are thinking about it? Like,
I think...
Because obviously, like you said, you've done this really responsibly. You've done it the right way. They're giving you the cooling off period. So what would you say to people? Should they obviously think long and hard?
Yeah, definitely. I think surgery is a huge step, and I took a long time to think about it and make sure it was what I really, really wanted. But it can change your life, and it has changed mine, and I feel so happy now and that kind of thing. So I think it's life-changing, and if it's something that you want to do, research it and then go for it, like, really do it. But make sure you go to someone who's reputable.
Yeah.
Do it properly, you know, don't cut corners, try and get it cheaper anywhere else. Just do it properly, and then you'll be fine.
Great advice.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming in, Beth.
No
For sharing
problem.
your
Thanks
story,
for having
Beth.
me.
Lovely to meet you. To dive into a rabbit hole of epic proportions.
Yeah, that's right. From wallpaper to wind chimes, sheets to screensavers, our next guests hold the title for the world's largest bunny collection.
So it all began 30 years ago when Steve bought his beloved wife Candice a stuffed rabbit for Valentine's Day. And you know what they say, rabbits multiply quickly.
Yeah.
The pair join us now from California. Thank you guys for joining us. Lovely to see you. Good morning. Well, where do we start? How did this collection get started?
Well, I started calling Steve my honey bunny when we were dating, and he liked that.
And one day, for Valentine's Day, I found a bunny that was in a giant balloon, and I gave it to her.
And I loved it. And so I gave him a porcelain bunny on our first Easter, and then before you know it, we're giving each other a bunny every day as a love token, and we still do that.
So this all started with love, really, didn't it? The love between you two, and it has grown so much. So the love between you two has grown, and now you've got over 45,000 bunny-related items.
We do. The Guinness record, the most bunny items in the world.
And you're surrounded by all those items now. Have you got any favourites?
Oh, no, couldn't possibly. We love all the categories.
I do.
Do you sort of forget sometimes what you have? Do you every now and again you walk past and go, oh, I bought that in 1986. It's lovely.
No. In the beginning, Steve would get me what we call dupes. And he's gotten better. He doesn't do that anymore. But everything is inventoried, so we can always check the catalog.
Oh, wow.
Candice, Steve, do all your friends and family now just buy you bunny-related items, though?
Oh,
Yes.
sure. Always. They know better.
So is Easter a good time? Like, are there new, like, bunny items out now? Because obviously, you know, people associate Easter with bunnies. So do you get a chance to kind of browse the new, bunny sort of summer 2024?
Well, yeah, the thing is that most people collect cats, dogs, cows, and teddy bears. And they can go any time of the year into a store and get a cow. But you can't do that with a bunny, oddly. So every Easter, we're guaranteed new items. And after Easter, we go all the stores because things are 50 and 75% off, and then we stock up.
Am I right by saying you are? So you've had to move all your stuff into a museum now because all your items got too large for your house. And am I right by saying you are and still the only bunny museum?
We're the world's only bunny museum. We're called an encyclopedic museum. We have everything from antiquity to contemporary art. And in our home, originally, the museum was. And it was by appointment. And then 8 years ago, the museum moved into a huge building. And we're in an apartment now, and everything is out here.
Listen, I've got some skin in the game here. My first ever pet was a rabbit, and I love that rabbit. Do you have any real-life rabbits as well? Have you got a farm somewhere?
Well, what was the name of your bunny?
Well, it's in... OK, so... so it's actually in Irish. It was called Conin Dubh, which means black rabbit in Irish. My dad named it.
Oh, cute, cute, cute. We have 2 right now, but we've had 28 over the years.
Oh, great.
Wow, 28, right. So, and your bunny museum, it continues to, like, hold world records to this day, doesn't it?
Yes, I purposely submitted in 1999 to Guinness because that was the year of the bunny. And then, oddly enough, in 2011, they contacted us and said, would you like to update your collection? And 2011 was the year of the bunny. So we did that. And so then purposely in 2023, we updated it. So every 12 years, we will be updating the collection. And no one will ever beat the collection.
Oh, nice. And you've got some favourite items with you at the moment, haven't you? Have you got any items that you can show us, like your favourites?
Well, you asked us, the producer asked us if we wanted to give each other our gift for today on camera, and we'll do that. So we hid our gifts from each other. Okay, I'll go first because mine's small. There you go.
Oh, wow. Well, that's very cool. And with an egg, too.
A gold egg. And look at his tail is gold. Look on the back.
Wow.
Show them on the back. The tail is gold, like the gold egg.
And it gold around his ears, too. That's cute. That is very cute.
Yeah. That's a vintage box.
See what you're going to bring to the party now, Steve. Come on.
And...
No pressure.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, it's handmade. It's actually a pattern. You can see the divisions where somebody sewed it. That's very cute.
Lovely.
You two, look at that.
So
I'll tell you what's
love it.
cute. You two, Candice and Steve, thank you
Candice
so
and Steve,
much
thank you.
for sharing your story. That is lovely. And, you know, your collection
you.
has grown just like your love there. It's beautiful. Ah,
Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a lovely Easter.
Thank you.
happy
Well, hop
Easter.
on over when you get a chance.
Oh, I'd love to.
Hop on over.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, bye.
Lovely.
I'm sure you'll remember our next guest as one of the most trusted voices on our TV screens during her many years as a BBC journalist and newsreader. 4 years ago, though, Kate Silverton decided to embark on a career change and now has retrained as a child therapist.
Kate joins us today as she publishes her new book, There's Still No Such Thing as Naughty. Good morning.
Morning,
Good
Kate.
morning.
Lovely to see you.
Good morning. So, there's no such thing as naughty. For sure?
For sure.
How do you prove this?
Well, in the book, so if we benefit now from the most incredible neuroscience, specifically neurobiology, that really helps us to understand our children's behaviour. And essentially, when we understand the nervous system and how it drives all of our behaviour, our children's behaviour starts to make sense. And so this is why I say there's no such thing as naughty, because when we can understand that, we can respond to our children in a way that regulates them and we see less of the big behaviour that we often ascribe to naughty.
I don't doubt we'll have mums and dads sitting at home, grandparents or guardians sitting at home saying, it's lovely to hear that, Kate, but I have a child that displays naughty behaviour. Can you explain what you mean and perhaps how they can cope with the naughty behaviour in the terms that you see it?
Yeah, so I start the book by explaining what I call construction, which is understanding how our children's brains develop and their nervous system. When we understand that the brain develops in sequence, so the bits of our children, the bits of the brain, the prefrontal cortex that I call the wise owl, that regulates big behaviour and big emotions, doesn't finish its development until our children are in their 20s. So,
wow, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was so old.
No, this is why I wrote the book, because as a parent, you go, why is this so hard? Why is my child lying prostrate on the supermarket floor? Well, actually, what we understand as a tantrum is actually a neurochemical wildfire. So if I said to you that under 4s need help with their emotional regulation every 20 seconds...
Wow.
Because they haven't got a fully developed prefrontal cortex that's the part of the brain that helps us to regulate big emotions. So our children are all wandering around in the world, dealing with all sorts of stuff every day. And what happens is their stress response, which is their nervous system's response, I feel a bit frightened, I feel a bit nervous about this, that's sending up a whole neurochemical wildfire. And without our help, if we just see them as naughty, sit there, do that, you're being naughty, not understanding that actually their nervous system is just fizzy, as I call it.
Yes.
That they might be afraid, they might be anxious. So if we see it as naughty, we're not then helping our children to regulate and bring themselves back to balance. And that is what is key for good future mental health, because we want to learn how to regulate our emotions and how to manage stress. So that's our job to...
I love that analogy of it being a fizzy nervous system, having had 2 boys now who are... Sam's nearly 19 and Jack's 17, one who had a very fizzy nervous system, and the other one that didn't really, was much more compliant and just wanted to behave and was sort of, you know, a much easier child to parent. It was the younger one that didn't. So if someone has a child who's having a tantrum in the supermarket, and we've all been there, or is losing it and has this very fizzy nervous system, how can you calm them down? Because often in that scenario, there is no calming them down.
No, and that's a really good question. So I'll use my son as an example. There's lots of examples in the book of where my own children, so my son's quite fizzy as well. And as an example, you know, he kept jumping up and down on the bed. Mike was going absolutely bananas, and he said, but my way of parenting, barking at him, get off the bed, stop being so naughty. He's like, right, what would Kate do? And actually, in that moment is acknowledging, and what I call SAS, say what you see. He says to my son, Wilbs, you seem a bit fizzy. What's up? My son stopped jumping and said to him, I'm really nervous about my play date later. He'd gone to a new school, had a new friend, and the fizziness was his natural way, because we all have a natural way of exercising the stress energy. Our children do that when they're jumping big behaviour. He was just, and he's showing us, look, I'm fizzy, but he's doing it. His brain is sort of unconsciously showing us. So Mike's like, I can help with that. So say what you see. Sweetheart, you're either looking really cross, you're stomping your feet, you're on the floor, naming the behaviour, say what you see or say what you sense your child is feeling. Acknowledge, this is feeling really hard right now. This is feeling really, really hard. So you're engaging your child at that moment and then going into soothe. I'm going to lend you my calm and say, wow, you are having really big feelings. You're really disappointed, you're really frightened, whatever you sense the emotion is. And then we are bringing our children back to balance using our calm. It's the nervous system that we're really talking about here. It's not words, as you say, because in that moment, our children can't hear it. Their brain, the parts of their brain that are really fizzy, can't hear long sentences. So we've got to lend our calm, not join their chaos. And I explain how in the book with lots of practical examples and exercises.
Because one thing that you also express in the book is that quite often we put labels on our children, especially ADHD. I think actually labelling children in any way, shape or form, whether that's kind of naughty or loud or shy or what, I think that's incredibly dangerous anyway, because I think they grow into those labels. But you've kind of faced a little bit of backlash as well about ADHD diagnosis. Yeah,
so it's a complex, multifaceted subject in terms of diagnosing children. And to be really, really clear, this is always so difficult in interviews, but I'm not at this point talking... There are parents for whom children rightly, and I say it throughout the book, if you are concerned about your child's behaviour, if they're behaving in ways that do not make sense, that are frightening, concerning, always seek professional advice and support. It is absolutely right and proper that we go to seek diagnosis for our children if they're in distress, if they're struggling. Absolutely. So there's a cohort of parents here, and rightly, and what I say is, some of the assessments that are done, a lot of the assessments that are being done are rigorous, and they're asking a lot of questions. They're the right questions to be asking. And so if parents are finding that they've had the right diagnosis, they're comfortable with the diagnosis, and their children are thriving as a result, fantastic. So I'm not talking about, I think that's the cohort of parents that have gone, you're, you know, and it can feel very triggering. And I completely understand that. My concern as a therapist working clinically with children, and what I have learned in my training, is that a lot of the symptoms of ADHD in particular, or even ASD, are very similar to that when a child has experienced trauma. They overlap. So my concern...
What sort of trauma would that be, though, Kate?
Well, we talk... I mean, we can talk about small T trauma, which can be parents going through a very acrimonious divorce. It can be bereavement, a shock bereavement. It can be more complex trauma, of course, for children who are adopted. So as much as I've had a lot of parents even reaching out in the last week to say, for example, one just yesterday, my child is adopted, they're displaying all these symptoms, but we actually haven't looked at the experience, sadly. Now they're medicated, and she's saying, I'm just wondering if he needs therapeutic support. So what I want to do is to have a really calm conversation around, let's look at the child as an individual, make sure the assessments are being done rigorously, because that isn't always the case. As I say, if you are happy and your child is thriving, fantastic. But if your child has experienced trauma, or if you're concerned, let's just have a conversation and understand trauma and how it can manifest. And also to look at our environment now. Children are more static, they're on screens more, they're playing less, playtime at school, half an hour very often for children. We know that children need to be active. So a lot of neuroscientists and psychiatrists are saying we're concerned that we're raising children in an environment that's just not conducive to childhood. So, and that can create fizzy symptoms. So we want to look at all of this holistically and not in a really divisive way. And as I say, I have to stress, I've got lived experience. I've lived with the symptoms myself of ADHD. I get how much of a struggle it can be. And so I've got every compassion for parents in that situation. But I want to be sure that we're looking after all children.
I feel calmer just talking to you, Kate.
Yeah, it's about educating yourself, isn't it?
We're out of time, unfortunately. We didn't get onto all sorts. You must come back.
Will you,
I'd love
please?
to come back.
It would be
The screen thing, I think, is huge. Naughty step thing, I think, is really interesting. And sort of all of those things that we've touched on, they're all in the book. There's some amazing practical advice. If you are parenting right now, you need some help and support, because there is no manual for it when the babies arrive. These sorts of things can really help. Kate, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Joins us now this morning.
Good morning.
So lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you.
We'll get on to the brilliant Ben Cat in a minute. We'll get on to the happy stuff.
I'm slightly nervous about getting there, so we'll stay with this.
I want you to tell me everything.
OK.
Kate, we've lived this for the last 4 years together. Obviously, you've been a part of those documentaries, but this last documentary, by virtue of the fact it was the third one, and tragically, of course, we lost Eric just a couple of months ago, was there ever a point, and you must have been filming it for months and months, where you considered not putting it out?
Yes, there was, you know, being honest. So after he passed away, so 10th of December, as you know, we may talk about that as well, he had a cardiac arrest, which led to massive bleeding and hemorrhaging, and ultimately, on the 3rd of January, took his life. And after he passed away, obviously you're just consumed with that grief and things like the funeral and the children, his mum and dad, and all those things. Lucy Wilcott's brilliant producer rang very upset because, of course, she'd become very close to Derek and said, you know, we do have this thing ready to go virtually. What do we do now? And my initial reaction was, oh, gosh, it can't air now. It's too painful. But then I thought, having talked to his family, that actually that was selfish of me, because I was thinking about my feelings about it and the reaction I might get and whether it was appropriate, but actually it was Derek who chose to make this documentary. And it was not really ever about me or Derek, although I know, you know, we're the faces on there, but it was about the system that lets caring people down, carers of all sorts down, and actually lets down the people that work within the system as well. I've had so much response from social workers, from health workers, from, you know, people who are often seen as the people making decisions that are unhelpful, saying we are so frustrated, that I thought, well, you're doing it for that. Derek wanted to do it for that. Actually, plough on.
Well, yes, because that was one of the things I took away from the documentary. As Fresh Eyes was that he wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
He very much wanted to be heard. So you were kind of put in this almost tricky place where you knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
But you are trying to work it out as a family and you're going through grief at the same time. How was it when you watched it back?
I couldn't really speak for about an hour afterwards, actually, and that was the sort of human reaction of...
That's quite unusual as well, Kat. I'll just point that out.
Everybody breathed a huge sigh of relief and took a moment to take a holiday. No, I couldn't really speak. I was overwhelmed. It was raw. Things that jumped out at me was just the unbelievably frustration of seeing how well he was doing, how much progress he'd made. For him to have struggled so hard and fought so long, that's just a personal sadness for me. But I was also very keen that it didn't then look like a waste, because I thought about all the hundreds, actually, of specialists, doctors, nurses and carers that had given so much of their own time to try and make things better for Derek. And they do it for everybody. You know, it's just that my experiences with Derek. I wouldn't like them to think that that effort was a waste, because those 4 years had purpose, were precious, and we can't be in a society where, unless you're fully functioning, contributing in a way that we'd all like, you know, working, paying taxes, all that, where it's pointless, and it's not pointless. You know, life is life.
He had come such a long way as well, those 4 years. If you think about what you were all able to celebrate in those 4 years, thanks to those specialists who did everything they could to sort of give him the best standard of living, not least you getting your MBE and him being there that day.
Yeah, amazing.
Never thought it was possible, even actually 2 days before he was in hospital, but he was there, determined to be there, and how wonderful that he could be, you know, and that's a gift that we have.
There's something special as well, Kate, in the documentary, that people got a real sense of the connection between the two of you and how much love there was. I think you're really honest about the shift in how he could display his affection for you and also your role within that relationship. And that's something that resonates with a lot of the people that have been getting in touch with us with regards to caring for their partner.
Yeah, I think whether it's a partner, a parent, a child, a brother, a sibling, you know, big physical and, in Derek's case, brain changes the dynamic. And I certainly was very conscious for him. He felt disempowered in so many ways, physically, communication-wise, everything. He desperately wanted to, he would say often, I'm sorry I've let you down as a dad to the children, which, you know, broke their hearts. And they would say, no, you're our hero. And he didn't let them down, of course he didn't, but he felt like he did. And I'm sort of very aware that the things you do that you don't even notice in a relationship, like the little things you do when you know somebody so well, he physically could no longer do. So he didn't, you know, I wondered if he knew how to be, and we were in the process of working that out over the 4 years, and I feel we had got there. I feel we got to somewhere. And unfortunately, you know, the path ended.
Their wedding was one of the most unique experiences of my life.
Was it? Why?
It was an extraordinary occasion. Really, really incredibly loving and energetic and fun. And
great speeches, I'm imagining. Great
trust
speeches.
Me, the speeches were the highlights. Certainly for me, Kate, and me.
Derek's was much better than others.
Yeah. But if ever you wanted to get a sense of what it was about Kate that Derek found so special, I thought there was an amazing moment in the documentary. We're just going to play this little clip,
this is brilliant.
which just sums him up and your relationship up so perfectly.
OK.
When did you meet Kate?
Met in Claridge's bar. It was a blind date.
Can you remember what you first thought of her?
Yes.
What did you first think of her?
I thought she was fit.
What else did you think about Kate?
Caring. Lovely.
Did you know you wanted to marry her?
Yes.
And then I love how the interviewer asks you the question and she says, "Did I talk too much?" She said,
Did we ask Derek what you thought when you first met her? I was like, oh, God. What's coming now? Yeah, talks too much, I went for. But, yeah, that was pure Derek. There was a real bit of Chorley. Fit.
Proper joy.
I love it.
No.
Not classy, obviously, but fit.
But that's why...
That was so great!
That's why it's so good, because it's his very essence that's
was
there.
absolutely there.
Yeah.
Absolutely there all the way through.
But it must have been so exhausting. We've talked about how the relationship changed, and I know there was a point where you cared for Derek solo for 10 days,
Yeah,
24
there were
hours.
chunks of time, and I honestly felt like I was going slightly crazy. You're so sleep deprived.
Yes.
You're so stressed. There's so much responsibility, and of course you're also thinking about the children and what kind of mother you're being in that period. And I don't know how you can do that for very long. And one of the messages I got yesterday is that the person that she'd cared for, her husband, sadly passed away, and she said she realised she did it for 2 years, sadly didn't have longer, but found that afterwards she just felt she was so angry and frustrated, and felt like I did, which is there's so much time spent arguing for things and ranting about things and making appeals which take so long, and you're asking for time for doctors to represent their evidence, and of course they're busy and they've moved on, and then you come down to it and you think, I can't convey this, and if you can't see this, and then, of course, you feel very guilty for asking for it, but when it's life and death, when you know if you don't ask for it, you have to, and you don't like the person you've become because you feel like you're rowing with good people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I totally do. And
sorry, it sounds very confused, but you just think, I don't want to be this person. I want to be this person who says, thank you so much. But you're doing it on behalf of the carers who go, we need you to speak for us.
And actually, that was one of the things for me for the documentary. You were so honest about that. You were kind of drowning beneath this paperwork and trying to juggle everything at the same time.
Not just the paperwork, though. Now, obviously, I was aware of this as we were going along.
And you were helpful.
But it's the debt as well, Kate. You have been sunk into hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of debt in a desperate attempt to offer the care you could for Derek. And you are in a privileged position compared to all of those carers. There were some amazing carers in the documentary.
Absolutely.
And I wonder how you balance those two things up now. You know, the fight to get all that care for Derek. Sadly, Derek's now gone, but you are left with this legacy of debt, which you are still going to have to pay.
Yeah, and I will pay it. I will pay it, absolutely. And I don't regret it. I don't begrudge it. And, you know, it was the right thing to do. Of course. It was the right thing to do.
You have no choice.
No, you have no choice, you know, and... but I think that, you know, it is... You know, people... I was lucky because I had a job where people understood and gave me time to rush off to hospital a moment's notice or be around or go to the appointments or be there to care. You know, there were times... There was one time when they cancelled the care, which turned out to be a mistake, one evening, just before I came onto GMB. You were on the next day with me, and I had to ring poor Neil Thompson, the editor, and say, I can't come in because I don't think anyone's going to turn up. And all they said at the time was, we'll call an ambulance and take him to hospital and leave him there. I mean, GMB didn't say that, let me be very clear. They said, do what you need. But that was the unofficial, official advice. They said, this is all we can tell you to do. Now, in the end, the carer did turn up, even though they didn't know they were going to get paid.
Oh, wow.
Because they came, because they turned up. And that's the people that you're dealing with. You know, they're travelling a long way, they don't always live near you. They came. And for those that aren't professional carers that are doing it on their own, you know, it's a massive thing. And I don't even think it's political, really. I think it's all of us. We've just got to realise that we have to make this a priority. Because
as a society.
As a society, we have to, because we're all going to get sick, we're all going to be vulnerable, we're all going to need it, or be the person doing the caring, probably both in a lifetime. And so we have to find a way of making it important enough to us, apart from when you're in it.
Yes.
I think
and then it's all you think about, you know.
Yeah.
An amazing thing happened last night watching the documentary, because I was following on social media and the reaction from people suddenly understanding your motivation and Derek's motivation for wanting to make this documentary. There had been quite a lot of criticism, though, that people angled towards you in terms of sharing this story and how you've shared the story. I wonder how you've processed that, Kate.
Well, I think people are probably a bit bored of me, frankly. I think they're a bit bored of me banging on about the same thing, it seems to them. And I understand that, really, and I don't think I would have made a third one because, you know, if it hadn't been that Derek wanted to. But I'm glad I did, because what I've now realised is that people say, oh, just because you're on the telly you're talking about this. Yeah, actually, because those other people can't.
Yes.
They don't have a place to talk about it. Yeah, and they're saying to me, please don't give up, because I can't tell anyone other than myself in the mirror or my long-suffering friends who also can't do anything. So I sort of have to, and I'm sorry about that. And I hope that if people do watch it, I know you can watch it on ITVX, then maybe they will see that it's coming from a different place. It probably just looks like, oh, for goodness sake, Kate, stop going on about your own problems. There's enough problems in the world. I'm really not meaning to go on about my problems. I'm trying to go on about everybody else's problems.
From my experience of working with you, this is the one problem I'm very happy with you to go on about as often as possible.
The hair,
however.
a bit annoying, but this you're happy about.
But this is some of the reaction we've had. Michelle, I'm a carer. We are welcomed into families that we look after. We get so attached to them and love them. My heart went out to Kate and to the children, and of course to Jake, your amazing carer.
Jake is grieving himself. Yes. You know?
Yes.
And what an exceptional young man he is, by the way.
Hugely extraordinary, life-saving. Carers are life-saving.
They are.
He's one of them.
Fiona, such a beautiful, powerful watch. You can clearly see the love and bond. I'm a care assistant, have been for 30 years. I love my job. As much as it's underpaid, challenging and hard work, I wouldn't do anything else. And this is Kate and Derek. How wonderful. So well done for giving Derek, the patients, the carers, paid and unpaid, a voice. We've been shouting for years. Let's hope the government, councils, MPs are listening. That's from Michelle. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I hope so. I hope we all, I hope we all do something, because we are all going to want change, aren't we? There's a lot of pressure on money at the moment. Everybody's counting the pennies. But when you're at that moment, on your own, in the middle of the night, either the person who needs care or the person that's praying a care will arrive, you suddenly sort of don't worry about anything else, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And brave and brilliant.
It's brilliant watching you two.
Oh, well, thank you.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, we're loving it, aren't we?
We are.
We are. I say the real we.
He said to me, I've so traded up. And I said, yeah. You so have!
I thought you were going to say, I've trained her up. I've trained her up.
Oh, no, we're getting there with that. Don't worry. I've traded up. Now the training begins.
Thank you, Kate.
We'll have to get you back at some point. We can fill her in on all our deepest, darkest secrets.
I can't wait.
The ones that we can't talk about
Preferably over wine.
Well done, Kate.
All
I'm very
right,
proud of
well
you
done.
and the family. Love to Bill and Darcy as well.
Of course.
Before all of that, parents and grandparents across the nation will know George Webster as the BAFTA-winning CBeebies presenter on their screens.
Over the years, George has made a name for himself by not only being the first Strictly contestant with Down syndrome, but also as a charity ambassador and best-selling author.
On World Down Syndrome Day, George and his mentor Claire Taylor are here to tell us about the release of George's new book, Why Not? Morning to you, Bo.
Morning, Bo.
Morning. George, you went like that when I talked about the BAFTA. You've got to let me big you up. How was it winning a BAFTA?
Oh, it was amazing. I feel really proud.
Yes.
You should
and it was so surreal. Got to meet Danny Harm at Tracy Beaker was amazing.
Yeah.
He presented my award. So Childhood Hero. It was brilliant. Claire squealed.
I squealed very loudly.
Loudly.
Chairs went flying.
Yeah.
I love it. And your family came with you, George?
Yes, my family, my agent, Claire came and John came.
Yeah.
John Harkins. It was
The
amazing.
whole family.
Now, tell me this, did your mum cry?
Yes, my mum did cry. She did. Yeah.
She was so proud. Well done.
Thank you.
Well
Nothing
done.
less than you deserve,
No.
George, though, because it's been wonderful to watch your career in such a short space of time. You've done some amazing things. Have you got a favourite thing that you do in all the...
I don't have any favourite things because I find it all really fun.
Right.
To me, it's not work.
Yeah,
It's fun. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we were talking about with Lulu yesterday,
It was
wasn't it?
exactly that, exactly. Do you remember when you first got your job for CBeebies?
I do, yeah.
What was that moment like?
Oh, that was amazing. When I got the phone call from Claire,
Yeah.
I was screaming down the phone. I was that excited.
I was so excited for you. I texted you and said, oh, my God, this is so exciting.
Yeah, it was so exciting. And I'm never leaving CBeebies.
Never, ever.
Oh, good. Like a big family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about your book, George. Why not?
Book Why Not is all about why not try new different things and find things that make you glow and I think things that make you happy.
Yeah, yeah. It's excellent.
It's a gorgeous little book, and I love the fact that you've got friends and family in there as well. I mean, that's your little sister.
Yes, it is, my sister Lauren.
But she's not that little anymore.
Not that little anymore, no. No, yeah, so we do get on. It can be bossy, but we do
Sisters are
get
supposed
on.
to be, aren't they? Sisters are supposed to be.
Yeah.
So talk us through what is the story here, George? What do you want people to read from your book and think, you know, I fancy doing that?
I would say to find the things that make you happy and that make you glow.
Yes.
And don't be scared.
No, ever.
Ever.
Because actually, some of the best things that you do in life are a little bit scary. They kind of should be, really. And tell me about when you first saw the picture of you. I know Tim did the illustration.
Yes, Tim is an excellent illustrator. He's so good.
Yeah.
They're all so creative. It's a team book. It's a teamwork, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Claire, there's something magical about watching George do what he does, and he's absolutely blossomed on screen, which is really lovely. But what you saw him first, like you were the person that sort of spotted what it was. I mean, how impressed have you been with what he's managed to achieve and also the importance of having him in that role?
Oh, gosh, it's been an incredible journey and I'm just honoured to have been a small part in George's incredible journey to stardom, literally flying down on that Strictly ballroom floor on a star in a gold suit. So when I first saw George on a BBC Bite-sized video about busting the myths about Down syndrome, I noticed his sparkly eyes, his amazing kind of glow and aura that shone through the lens that is important in all of our CBeebies presenters for preschool kids. And just a warmth, but something so special in George, and also just really important that he's a role model and the first BBC children's presenter with Down syndrome. So we're all at CBeebies mega proud, the whole family, to have him smashing, breaking boundaries and reaching for the heights.
Absolutely. Now, George, Ben is trying to get me all the time to do Strictly.
Yes.
Oh.
I keep saying Kat's got to do Strictly.
Yes!
Yes, see?
He's going to start a whole campaign. He's going to get a T-shirt. It's going to be a disaster.
Tell her how good it is, George.
It's incredible. It's so much fun. When I went on it, it was a massive dream come true for me.
Was it?
Because you said do things that make you glow, and dancing for you is the thing that makes you glow, isn't it?
I love dancing, because I love performing in front of an audience, and dancing has always been a big passion of mine. And I remember I've been watching Strictly since it first started, and me and my sister would dance in front of the TV along. And being part of dance groups, and that has been a lot of fun. And doing Strictly was amazing. And I'm so glad that Amy has now come through.
Yes.
I'm so glad for her. She's a lovely person and a talented dancer too.
So do you think I'd enjoy it then?
You love it.
Would I?
Yeah, you love it.
I'm really
you love it.
though. I'm really
Do it.
pressure.
I've got Steph Alexander, who does the casting. She's on speed dial. We can sort this out right now.
George, don't encourage him.
Okay.
Don't encourage him. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been lovely to meet you properly.
Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely thrilled that we can have you on. This is your book, George Webster's Why Not? Why not give everything a go? Do the things that make you glow. Go out there, give it a go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Claire.
Well, Smira and Sajjad are here now to bravely share their frustration at the lack of legal progress, as well as some stories of Nuria, a day after what would have been her 9th birthday. Thank you both so much for coming in this morning. Smira, I can't begin to imagine how difficult the last 8 months have been for you, for your family. Let's start with Nuria. Tell us a little bit about your miracle little girl.
She was my whole heart and my whole world. When she was born, yesterday was her 9th birthday. I didn't know I could love so much, unconditionally. And I promised to myself to protect her fiercely. And this world that we are now left with, I cannot come to terms with it. I struggle every day. I question myself every second, because she was my whole heart.
Said she had a light and a joy and a spirit that was sort of unparalleled.
It really was. She, I'd like to think we gave her some of that, but I think naturally, as a person, and she was a little person, her personality shone through in the first few months of her being. She enjoyed a good laugh. She was full of joy. She was so generous, to the point at which we'd actually have to hold her back.
Yeah.
Sometimes promising her friends that her mummy and daddy would buy them the presents that she got for Christmas. Like, no. She epitomized the best of everything.
And she was your miracle baby, essentially, wasn't she?
She was. There was. We had. It was complicated, as many are. But she came through, despite some potential hazards. She came through, and we couldn't attempt again, you know, through various mechanisms. And of course, lots of people share that. But she was our miracle. She was.
She was.
So, Smira, take us back, as painful as it is, to that day last summer, the last day of term. I can only imagine how excited she would have been about the summer holidays coming up. And you'd all gone to school, all the girls were there for a special presentation and tea party, is that right?
That's exactly what it was. It was their last day of term, last day in that campus building. The girls did a beautiful assembly. She played recorder, and everybody spoke about their hopes and dreams. She spoke about hers. It was perfect. We then went out in the garden, and the girls came out via another entrance, and we waited for them to come out. And we were only supposed to be in that garden for 10 minutes. And we spoke to her. We chatted, she came out, she showed us, we told her how proud we are of her and how much we love her. And she said, Mama, Papa, I'm so excited. And we said, we'll get ice cream and we'll do a picnic.
She also said, I'm feeling a bit emotional, because she was leaving the building.
Leaving the building.
She was about to go to the upper school, so it was at a different spot.
Different campus, yes.
And this picture here is the picture that you took just moments before the crash. What are your memories of that crash, Samira? Because
like any mummy, photographs had to be taken.
Of course.
If they like it or not, mummy's gonna ask another mummy to take a photo. I question that photo every time I look at it, because we took quite a few. The others were on the grassy patch, and then we moved in front of the building to get the shot of the building. I question myself every day. Had I stayed on the grassy spot for 10 more seconds, we would have not been hit. So I hugged her and we shimmied along to get a photo. And And she's holding that half-eaten pastry in her hands, which she never got to finish. That photo is all I remember. I know she leaves me, or I think she leaves me to go get another pastry. And I said, Neria, you've got one in your hand already. And I cannot remember. Maybe I'm scared, but I cannot remember what happened.
Because you were also injured too, correct?
I was badly injured, and I remember hearing things. I heard the ambulance, I heard the siren, I heard Saj leaving with Nuria, but I don't know how long after that was. I don't remember.
No.
But I don't know where she was.
Right.
I don't know if she ran back to me, thinking her mummy is going to save her. I don't know if she saw the car. I will never know. Yeah. I will never know.
Saj, the confusion that must have sort of overwhelmed everybody at that point would be hard to underestimate.
Absolutely. I did go into shock for a period of time. It seemed very unreal. It seemed incomprehensible that something like that would happen. It's not something you ever think could happen. And I genuinely don't have any sense of how long it took me to move from disbelief to concern to panic. And it was during the panic that I found Smera and Nuria. Smera was already being attended to, Nuria was already being attended to, Smera not. I do remember through all of that, however, the screams, the shouting, chaos. It was a scene of chaos. I remember that vividly.
And there was another little girl called Selena that was killed too.
Yes.
And was it just mayhem at that point?
It was mayhem. Again, it's hazy for me, but it was very chaotic. There were individuals, parents and school staff who sprung into action and were able to help support and I'm sure save people from a worse fate that they had. But Selena and Nuria, unfortunately, were very terribly injured. Smera was very terribly injured.
So tragically, the two little girls died.
Yes.
I think more than 16 people were very badly injured, including yourself, Samira. And you're still struggling with, I think, 4 operations later, a number of broken bones and...
Shoulder, ribs.
Yeah.
I think the rehab on that, I'd imagine, has been a good distraction because you've got to sort of get your physical well-being back.
Absolutely. I had 2 surgeries straight after the accident, one in September and one just 7 weeks ago. And I'm still not at the end. I'm in constant pain. My mobility is limited. I've had to learn to walk again. I cannot do the tasks that I did before. I do not have the life that I had before. And I am willing to park all my broken bones and take more for answers. And just to have a little bit more with my little girl.
Yeah.
Being hit in the same accident, you know, no one prepares you for this. This isn't the natural way. You're not supposed to go before your kids. But if you have to, a parent should be able to do the last rites. Saj had to do it on his own because I wasn't able to do anything for her. She left the home on that Thursday morning and she never came back. She never came home. I would have brought her home would have. I couldn't.
Saj, it's those answers that are key now for you, for
us.
Selena's parents, for the parents of all the little girls that were at that school that morning, and the teachers, because obviously there's trauma for all those teachers as well.
Yes.
And that's, I think, a real frustration is that 8 months ago, the investigation to what's happening and what is going on feels like you're not getting anywhere.
Indeed, and you know, you're very right, Ben, to say that this we have suffered greatly, but so many have suffered greatly. This is a communal incident. A lot of people are desperately trying to deal with this and trying to find answers, and of course we're at the front of that queue. It is challenging. It's 8.5 months. We did our best to get through yesterday, New Year's birthday. We understand that there has been some progress. The best I can describe it is half the police's work is done, but half is outstanding. The challenge we feel is twofold. A, we're told that the rationale for the delay is anything from complexity to understaffing, which is quite a difficult thing to hear.
There's
understaffing, certainly.
And the other thing that makes this difficult is this wasn't a typical road traffic collision. Our girls were where they belonged. They were in the safest place they could be outside of their homes. And so essentially half of the investigation could, you know, potentially be accounted for. The girls were where they belonged. Something happened. Something intruded upon their school. So we find that a little difficult to swallow.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult to swallow.
They weren't running across the road. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were in their school uniform. They were in their safest spot. It isn't a typical road traffic collision.
No.
Because they didn't collide with anyone.
No.
No.
We have a statement from the Metropolitan Police who have said are carrying out a thorough and extensive investigation into what happened. This is what they said: our thoughts remain with the families of Nuria and Selena, who we know are greatly loved and missed. This was a tragic incident. We understand that the families want and need answers as to what happened. Specialist detectives have worked tirelessly to establish the circumstances of that day, including detailed analysis of CCTV and examination of expert reports. We have also sought early investigative advice from the Crown Prosecution Service. We recognise that the time taken can cause further distress, but it is only right and fair to all involved that we carry out a thorough and extensive investigation.
Well, that's a very familiar statement, if you forgive me. And it's what we have heard each time we've raised our cause in the public eye. So having heard it 5-6 times, it is again, it loses its meaning somewhat. I understand, complexities. I understand staffing. I understand all this, but I need to be understood too. We need to be understood.
You just want some answers.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can blame you for that.
8.5 months is a long time.
It is a very long time. It is a long time.
And the statement that you've just read out hasn't changed for the past 4 months. You've got to help us out. There's got to be something more. Yeah. It's not for grieving parents to come and ask for just accountability.
No. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. On behalf of everybody, we can't reach out but give you enough love and support. I mean, she was, and the briefest that I've heard about Nuria, she was a very, very special, magical little girl.
She was joy.
And like you say, joy for all of you. And fingers crossed, you can get some of those answers you so desperately need.
Thank you. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yesterday, 39-year-old Nicholas Hawkes from Essex became the first person in England and Wales to be sentenced for cyber flashing after it became a criminal offence earlier this year. He's going to serve over 15 months.
Cyber flashing is the act of sending unsolicited, explicit images, usually on social media, dating apps or airdrop, with the intention of causing alarm or distress.
Well, forensic psychiatrist Dr. Shaham Das joins us now with his thoughts on the issue, alongside women's safety consultant Karen Wybrow, who herself has been a victim of cyber flashing. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Karen, can we start with your reaction to that sentence, that custodial sentence that was given out yesterday, how important that is?
Really pleased, actually, to see such a significant custodial sentence being handed down for the first ever conviction for cyber flashing. Really good work by Essex Police, who obviously took this seriously and really pursued the case. But it is a specific circumstance, this case, that it's great that it sets a precedent, but it's going to be difficult to get continued convictions like this, I think.
Why is that?
So at the moment, there's the you have to prove an intent to cause distress or upset sending these images, and we know that the vast majority of cyber flashing, actually, it's going to be very difficult to prove that intent. So really, it would be much better if this was a consent-based crime rather than intent-based.
And you've actually been directly affected yourself. Tell me about your experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened to me, you know, like millions of women and men, actually, but predominantly women. This has happened to me on several occasions through various different methods. So on social media, for example, through messaging on social media, through airdrop on the tube. So it's
on the tube?
Yeah, on the tube, I experienced it. So which is a different level of intimidation, because you know it's somebody quite close in proximity physically to you as well.
So just in case anybody at home doesn't understand how airdrop works, because there'll be some of our viewers that perhaps aren't into it, just can you explain what you're talking about and how that affects you?
So through your mobile phone, you'll receive a notification saying somebody wants to send you a message. Do you want to accept it? And you either choose then to accept or decline. So you do have that kind of slight edge to be able to decline that. But it's happened to me where I could see the guy trying to send a message to, I don't know how many people within that carriage, but I've since changed my mobile phone settings so that it doesn't actually have my name on it, just as a kind of level of protection against that
You can put your settings to contacts only, you can turn it off, but the reality is some of those, if you have open to everybody, when sometimes you need that for work, you get a preview as well.
Yes,
so
you
you
do.
can see what the image is. So someone is sitting in that train carriage, randomly sending messages to any of the people whose airdrop is on.
Yes.
Kerry has got in touch with us this morning saying when she was training at the gym, every day she would get sent pictures of from various men and their body parts. She never asked them. 3 of the men had girlfriends or wives, so she sort of knew who they were. And it's just that sense that men feel like they can do this.
It's a real example of like male entitlement, sexual entitlement that these men have, unfortunately, just to invade your private space, invade your privacy, and to really force something on you that you didn't ask to see. And it shouldn't be treated any differently from someone doing this in a physical space to you.
And so many women are affected by it. I mean, in this morning office, the majority of women have had a similar experience. How do you report it, though? How do we do that? Because it is such a new crime. It's hard to know what the parameters are.
I think the first step is it's really good that people are talking about it, because especially with younger people, they don't realise that it's an offence. It's become so normalised in society that people just kind of laugh it off and don't really think it's a big deal. So we need to start telling people, first of all, that it's not acceptable, both the people that are doing it, but also to our young people to say, you know, people shouldn't be doing this to you. You should be able to enjoy your experiences online without this kind of intimidation and upset and harm. But you need to screenshot, you need to document it, and then you need to report it to the police, because it is an offence.
One of the people involved, one of the girls, was only 15 years old that Nicholas Hawkes sent these pictures to. Probably hasn't had a phone particularly long. I mean, it tends to be around 12, 13, people change schools. There'll be mums and dads at home this morning watching this going, how can we protect our daughters from getting these unsolicited pictures? I mean, in terms of settings on your phone, you can set them up to do that, right?
You can, and I would urge every parent to do that. But also, there's lots of e-safety tips that people can give you, but the one most important thing is talk to your children. Actually, have honest and real conversations about what's happening, because this might be happening in situations between peers as well. And we need to try and have some honest discussions with our young people about whether we should be sharing images, what's appropriate, what isn't, and how they can be used.
That's the thing no one thinks. Dr. Shaham, I've got 2 teenage boys. They go to a boys' school. As we've just been saying, there is so much about understanding the importance of being safe and not doing all these sorts of things. But the implication of this sentence, the custodial sentence, first, I'd love to get your thoughts on that. And also, what's the escalation process? Does it go from starting with something like this, cyber flashing, to being something more physical?
Sure. So, morning, Ben, morning, Kat.
Morning.
The first thing that I would say is that 15 months in general is quite a harsh sentence, but I think in this particular case, it is appropriate because this man, Hawkes, he had a previous history.
Yeah.
Right? So previously sexually offended against a minor. As you said before, the pictures that he sent, one of them was to a 15-year-old. He's already had a community sentence. He's not learnt from his mistakes. So I think it's absolutely appropriate, number one. Number two, it acts as a deterrent. You know, this is a new law and the police and the nation are taking it seriously. So hopefully it will deter other people that have these intentions. And to answer your question, Ben, in terms of escalation, absolutely. So these low-level kind of offences can escalate, and there's a number of reasons for that. So some of it is desensitisation, right? So the individual offender, they need to get more of a kick. It's almost like taking a drug to chase that high, so they escalate their behaviour, they make it more serious. And then another thing would be validation as well. So they get some sort of reaction, even if it's a negative reaction, which gets them to continue. And then finally, it's about pushing boundaries. You know, what can I get away with? And I think that's really relevant in the case of Wayne Couzens, for example. So we all know that he had previous low-level offending before he went on to commit his horrific crimes. And he got emboldened, and other people in this situation might become emboldened if they're not stopped at an early stage.
Right. If they are stopped, though, if they are caught, can they be rehabilitated?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm a doctor, I'm a forensic psychiatrist. I work in rehabilitating offenders, and I think it's possible if there is some internal motivation and epiphany. It's quite hard to reverse internal perverse impulses and thoughts, but you can control the other risk factors. So, for example, if an offender is more likely to commit these kind of sexual perverse actions, if they're anxious or depressed, you can treat those mental disorders.
Right.
If it's because they're drinking and they're disinhibited, you can use drug and alcohol rehab. So you can kind of reduce the risk factors.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you, is why do people do it? Does it stem from other things, essentially?
Yeah. So it depends on the actual offender and their makeup, but I would broadly categorise it into 2 camps. There's those who are using it as a clumsy way to flirt and to try and start a sexual relationship. And there's those who are actual sexual predators, those who get like a kick, a pleasure out of the control and domination of intimidating their female victims.
Do you agree with Karen that it's the same? The cyber flashing is the same as physical, actually doing it in public?
I suppose it depends on the individual victim. Some people will find it very, very intrusive, regardless of how close the individual is. Other people might feel more intimidated by knowing that somebody's physically in proximity.
Yeah.
So there's a massive overlap. I don't know if I'd say it's exactly the same.
I think the really scary thing is that 76% of girls aged between 12 and 18 have received unsolicited photos. 12 years old is...
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
It's shocking, isn't it? And I think part of the problem is that, you know, unlike us, the kids nowadays grow up with mobile phones, don't they? So I think it's become over-sexualised videos, you know, sending pictures between boys and girls who are in relationships in schools. There's a lot of peer pressure. It's become almost normalised.
Protecting them is important.
Yes.
Karen, a lot of the women getting in touch with us today talking about dating sites. There's a lot of online dating. It's become a hugely important part of people's lives. Diane, Sarah, Melanie, they said more or less opening any dating app, any message that's been sent will have some inappropriate pictures for some strange reason. Sarah says most men will do this. They'll send it for whatever reason. It's like that's become part of the protocol with these things.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, become much more common, obviously, than it used to be, because so many people use online platforms now to meet new people. But, you know, actually Bumble was the first company that started campaigning. I was campaigning alongside them to make cyber flashing a crime. And they do use software to blur any image that's sent through the app.
Right.
And there is more that Ofcom could do to, you know, put pressure on other platforms to do that sort of thing. There are ways and means that we can prevent this happening. But we do need to have definitely this social conversation about what's appropriate and what isn't, because I think many men are quite confused about what women want to receive and what they don't.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that this case sort of draws a line in the sand, potentially, and could start shifting how people perceive these things. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Before all that, though, experts are warning of a rising threat of cryptocurrency fraud after the scams rose by 23% last year. Now then, today we're joined by somebody who knows just how dangerous they are.
Lisa, whose identity we're protecting, invested in a scheme on social media which she believed was backed by our very own Martin Lewis. But things quickly spiralled, and before she knew it, scammers had stolen £40,000 from her account.
It's just terrifying. Scared and too embarrassed to tell her friends and family, Lisa reached out to Trading Standards, where she was helped by scams officer Janet Quinn. Janet's here alongside Lisa today to share this shocking story. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Hello.
Lisa, these scams have terrified me and my colleagues next door at Good Morning Britain for a very long time, because for a long time, our pictures have been used alongside this sort of advert about us doing a mocked-up interview on the set. It all looks really, really sophisticated, looks like it actually happened, and people will click on the link and then you're in and you're away. It's exactly what happened with you.
Exactly what happened to me.
What was it, Lisa, initially that drew you into the idea of what it was offering?
Well, I'd been looking at Bitcoin. I thought, this looks interesting, and then saw Martin Lewis advert. I follow the money saving expert, and I was just kind of assumed if he thought it was a good idea, then let's click the link and see what happens.
Now, you follow Martin, and Martin's always been very, very sort of clear and adamant that he doesn't advertise these things or these things as scams.
Yeah.
In amongst all of that,
which I know now.
You know now, but of course in that moment you didn't know.
No.
So talk us through what happened once you clicked on and what that process became.
So I received an email quite quickly from someone saying they were from a trading company. Could we arrange a time to talk? So I thought, yeah. Because I'd initiated it, I thought, well, I need to talk to him.
Yeah,
I've initiated it, you know. So I spoke to him. He's very, very charming. And he said, right, well, what we need to do is we need to open up a banking app, and we need to do this, we need to do that. And an app to access my phone, which I refused initially.
Because you've heard that you shouldn't hand over control of these things.
Yeah, but he spoke to me every single day, which I now know he was grooming me. And he persuaded me, because I didn't have the time to be to trading every day, he persuaded me to download this app, and which then gave him access to my phone.
And essentially, this was a man called Carlos who started off being incredibly charming.
Yes.
And kind of winning you in and luring you in with this charm. And then he almost turned a little bit as well and almost became a bully, became much more aggressive. What happened?
So he set up an account and applied for possibly 11 loans using false details about me.
Because you'd given him access to this app, and that meant that he could try and do that?
Yeah, so he'd set up
a profile or something?
The credit reference.
Right, OK. Yeah.
And he'd applied for 11 loans using
how much
my
money?
details.
Tens of thousands?
Well, so I thought it was 70,000. It was actually 55,000.
£55,000?
And I also was then receiving letters through the post saying, thank you for your application, but on this occasion, we're not going to give you a loan. So that was another 40,000, 50,000 maybe, you know. So fortunately, they said no.
So it was initially, wasn't it, right at the start, it was £200 that you put into this scheme.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's applying for tens of thousands of pounds of loans in your name.
Yeah.
So what did you say to him when you saw this stuff coming in?
Well, I said, I don't want to do this. You know, I can't afford loans. I can't. And he's like, what are you worrying about? You know, you've got all this money in your account balance just from the £200 you invested. You know, think what you can do with all this money. And I'm like, but I don't want to take out any loans. But I presumed that I'd have to sign a credit agreement or
something.
But nothing. The money just appeared in my account. And because it was in my account, he told me that they'd all be paid off. I had 100,000 by this point in my trading account.
Oh, my days.
They'd all be paid off. Just transfer the money to the banking app, and it would sit there if we needed it. And I did.
you did that and that was when they got hold of it?
He kind of helped do it.
Of course.
Right.
Through the app.
And what did your husband have to say about all this?
My husband didn't know.
Didn't know anything about it. He actually thought you were even having an affair because there was so much going on.
Because I was hiding my phone calls with him, yeah.
Lisa, why did you not want to share it with your husband?
Because initially investing the £200, that was OK. We'd actually said, well, what's the worst that can happen? We'll lose £200. When it became, what, £55,200, it then became a problem, and I didn't want him to see that I had all this money in my account balance, and I didn't want him to keep quizzing me, so I just played it down a bit. So whenever I was talking to this guy, as soon as my husband came in, I was like, got to go. And I'd be, like, cutting the phone off.
So it sounds like more suspicious, so you can understand what his concern was. So what happened? How did you eventually come clean and start sharing the situation you were in?
So once the trading account was gone, all my money was gone, and I was then trying to pay all these loans. I was actually using savings to make the payments because I didn't know what I was dealing with until the payments came out of my account.
Yeah.
It was eating me away, and I just said to my husband one day, we need to talk. And he's like, what have you done? And I told him, and he has been so supportive.
Of course.
Bless him.
And when did you then get Janet involved?
So when all the trading crashed and everything else, I contacted the Citizens Advice Bureau, who put me in touch with Trading Standards. And I have to say, without them, I don't know what would have happened.
Oh, Janet, this is the sort of thing. I don't know if anyone's watched, we had this conversation, The Beekeeper, which is a brand new film with Jason Statham, which is exactly this. It's this story. We just needed Jason Statham to go and find Carlos.
Every lady needs a Jason Statham.
But it is. It's the scammer that gets control of somebody's money and then cleans out their accounts. Bitcoin has just shot up again, so you know that that's going to engage people's interest. We're all intrigued by cryptocurrency. How much of this are you seeing, Janet?
Unfortunately, a lot. Lisa's story is such an awful story. Every time I hear it, it just makes me so sad because it's such a personal story. This has ruined her life. But we're seeing it a lot. Every month when we get complaints, there's always cryptocurrency up there because it's the big thing. Everyone wants to make some money.
So what would be your advice? How can people protect themselves? Obviously, yes, and times are very tricky at the moment, so everybody does want to make the most of their money, but we need certain things in place to protect ourselves. So what would be your advice?
Absolutely. I mean, I could talk all day about this, but I think the key things are always do your own research. So be really wary if you're approached by somebody else, by a cold call on the phone, a text message with a link to click on, a pop-up on your computer, anything on social media, which is what Lisa saw. Just be really, really wary. If you want to invest, do your own research, really think about it. I think always, as well, be prepared to lose what you're investing.
Right.
So keep it small amounts.
Well, the £200 was enough. You felt like that was worth taking the risk with.
That's what lured Lisa in. But it just gets out of hand and out of control so quickly.
And it's so easily done as well. That's the thing, more than anything. And I think then you get involved and then you feel silly and it just continues and it spirals out of control.
Absolutely, like anything, then it's harder to get out of.
Yeah.
And the important message I want to get across here is that Lisa was groomed. He phoned her every single day. It's the same. You do so much on this show about scams, which is great because it's really important to get the message out there. And Lisa's so brave today in sharing her story to try and help others because that's what they do. They're grooming you just like romance scammers.
We're talking of messages. I know that Martin's given us a message to share as well because this is such an important thing for him. He's so well trusted and he hates the idea of people like Lisa being duped by these things. This is what Martin says.
I don't do adverts. I don't do adverts. I don't do adverts. Any advert you see with me in is a scam. I get 5 messages a day from people asking me, are they real? If someone is advertising something with me in it, it is a lie. I don't do adverts. And if someone is talking about an investment and saying I said it's a good investment, they are thieves, criminals trying to steal your money. Do not go near them.
He's our version of Jason Statham,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Doesn't have as many weapons,
No.
like actual explosive ones. I know, at least you're smiling while you're seeing Martin say that, because it all rings true now, of course, doesn't
Yeah.
it? What would you say to anybody at home who's looked at some of these things, is intrigued? Because I think your daughter said, oh, Mum, we're thinking about investing in some cryptocurrency.
If it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Well, look, thank you so much for, as Janet says, being brave enough to come and share your story. Unquestionably, it's going to help some people, but it's really, really important that we all remember that message, particularly from Martin. If you see anything mocked up with us here in this studio, suggesting that we are supporting any sort of cryptocurrency, get-rich-quick trading scheme, it is a scam.
We can't even say it,
no, we
let
can't
alone
say
promote it.
I'm just so worried. It's just so awful. I'm so sorry
It's
that you've been
awful.
through it.
Thank you.
But thank you very much for coming in and sharing. And thanks, Janet.
Thanks, Janet.
Thank you.